Here's the brief news from the world over this week. An al-Qaeda-inspired extremist was sentenced to life without parole Wednesday for hacking a British soldier to death in the streets of London last May. Images of Michael Adebolajo clutching a bloodied knife and a cleaver moments after slaying Lee Rigby shocked the world. It sparked fears of Islamist terror in Britain. Adebolajo's accomplice received a minimum 45-year sentence. Judge Nigel Sweeney said the pair's actions were barbaric, sickening, and pitiless. The judge insisted that Adebolajo had no hope of rehabilitation. Back in the United States, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer has vetoed a bill that had been criticized for being discriminatory against gays and lesbians. The bill is an update of the state's 1999 Religious Freedom Restoration Act. It was designed to give businesses the right to refuse to participate in gay marriages and other activities that run afoul of their religious beliefs. Meanwhile, in Texas, a federal judge, Orlando Garcia, struck down that state's gay marriage ban on Wednesday. He said the state law wrongly denies the institution of marriage to gays and lesbians. The judge is not permitting gay marriages in Texas just yet. Rather, he stayed his decision pending appeals. The case is expected to reach the Supreme Court. And two of the church's newly minted cardinals were defending church teaching and the indissolubility of marriage this week before the Vatican press corps. The head of the church's doctrinal office, Cardinal Gerhard Müller, insisted that divorce is not a path considered by the church. Continuing, he sharply rebuked those who are advocating a change in church teaching on this matter. He said, "We can't insist on it. The doctrine of the church is nothing but the word of Jesus Christ, and the words of Jesus are very clear. I can't change the doctrine of the church. They don't want to understand." End quote. Cardinal Müller added that the real problem of divorce is that the children are no longer with their parents and have to live with others whom they don't know. In a separate press conference, Cardinal Vincent Nichols, Archbishop of Westminster, spoke of possible ways forward for divorced and remarried Catholics, but he warned against simply discarding the first marriage.
I think we too easily assume, that a breakdown of a first marriage is an irretrievable situation. And I think given some of the things that have been said about the level of freedom that is needed for a valid marriage, we shouldn't come to that conclusion too quickly.
And another step toward reform of the Roman Curia is underway. In a major structural change to the Vatican bureaucracy, the Holy Father this week created a new office to oversee the financial affairs of all Vatican departments. The Secretariat of the Economy, as it is called, is responsible for financial planning, budgeting, and purchasing for the Church in Rome. In creating the office, Pope Francis wrote that the new body should provide faithful stewardship of Vatican resources, recognizing that they serve the mission to evangelize with particular concern for the most needy. Cardinal George Pell of Sydney was appointed as the Secretariat's first prefect. The assignment means the Cardinal will move to Rome and he will wield significant authority. He'll have to get to work right away, as the Vatican also announced this week it expects to run a deficit for 2014. Cardinal Pell is a friend of the world over, and we certainly wish him all the best. And Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is lamenting what he calls absurd speculations about his resignation that have appeared in the Italian media and online recently. His comments came in a letter to La Stampa journalist Andrea Tornielli. The Pope Emeritus wrote, "There's absolutely no doubt regarding the validity of my resignation from the Petrine ministry." He said the only condition for its validity was the complete freedom of his decision. He also defended his wearing of the white cassock and keeping the name Benedict, saying he did it for purely practical reasons. At the moment of my resignation, the Pope wrote, there were no other clothes available. Conspiratorial questions about his attire, he said, are another case of completely unfounded speculation. Pope Benedict stepped down from the papacy a year ago this week. Another pope appears on his way to sainthood. This past week, the consulting theologians of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints unanimously recognized a miracle attributed to the intercession of Pope Paul VI. The purported miraculous healing occurred in California in the mid-1990s. An unborn child was found to have serious developmental problems with a high risk of brain damage. Physicians advised that the child be aborted. The mother said no and entrusted her pregnancy to Paul VI. The child was born without problems. He's now an adolescent and remains healthy. The congregation's medical panel had already designated that healing as medically inexplicable. The miracle must now be approved by the prelate members of the congregation and Pope Francis in order for Paul VI to be beatified. And according to an industry report on the world's top wine-drinking countries, the Vatican is the double magnum. The California-based Wine Institute's report says Vatican City consumes 100 bottles of wine per person per year. That's some 25 more bottles a year than the number 2 nation. Now, a few things would explain this phenomenon. Wine is used at Mass, which, of course, occurs countless times a day there, and the official population count of the Vatican is less than 1,000. What is probably also skewing the numbers a bit is the Vatican supermarket, which sells tons of vino, tax-free and cheap. And you don't have to be a Vatican citizen to shop there. You just have to be an employee. Maybe Cardinal Pell should add a little non-liturgical wine tax and see if he can close up that deficit.